said, Owen Benjamin tried to poison my lasagna. That's how you're going to try and diss someone in a wheelchair? By saying that the wind blew them over? That's your slight jab at me, buddy? Nice try. Must be nice to try and make, jokes like that. Found out about Owen Benjamin and the Unbearables. I can't remember exactly who told me about them. It might have been one of them who had reached out to me, actually. Long story short, in like March of 2018, I was looking to, of course, continue building the show, and I was looking for a group of networkers, kind of like-minded creatives and conservatives, and I was told about the Unbearables. I found out about Owen through the JRE podcast. To be honest, I wasn't really a big fan of him comedically. Like, I thought he was okay, but he wasn't, great. But I kind of liked what he was doing with the whole, anti-trans kids thing. That really spoke out to me. And in the beginning, the Unbearables seemed to be a great network. People who were doing creative stuff like art and design and podcasting and video production, parody, songs, musicianship, in the case of Chuck Forrest, and just late night streams, which was how I met the original DZ guys. Of course, John Neary was my first interview for the brief period of time I was with the Bears. But here's the thing, Owen's not even a conservative. He's a fucking leftist, posing. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. How dare you! Owen is doing the shit that mass shooters do before they go out and do a school shooting. Here's my manifesto. We need to get rid of the weak people, and I'm not saying he's going to be the one to do this.
An Australian man murdered his wife with a pair of scissors, stabbed her in the chest.
This is a warning to the general public about Owen Benjamin. We warned you.
How dare you!
Must be nice.
According to him, the goat urinated on him first, in front of Amy.
all this gay talk is pissing off my German Shepherd.
Well, good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome to the Whitfield Report, first episode of 2022. I am your host, Sam Whitfield, broadcasting here live, and I am solo tonight, it seems like. Couldn't get a hold of Apex Gamma. I think, ladies and gentlemen, I hate to say it, I think Apex Gamma might have died last night, like in a fiery car wreck. I heard he was out partying with his girlfriend last night, and for those of you who don't know, Apex Gamma loves what is commonly referred to as Roadhead. Roadhead. And, I guess, from what I understand, his girlfriend was giving him, Roadhead last night as he was driving. And, from what I'm told, he lost control of the wheel and died in a oh shit, I'm not gonna be able to finish this bit at all. They both died in a fiery car accident, but hey, at least he got a happy ending. So RIP to Apex Gamma, but at least he had a happy New Year, no matter how brief it was. It was still at least a happy New Year and a happy ending for him. He will be missed, and condolences to him. Um, we're gonna miss you, Apex. We really are. Um, yeah. In all seriousness, though, I don't know where the game is. I hope. I really hope that um that isn't the case. I think I might have told this story, but back when I was in high school, there was this kid who was a little bit autistic. And when I mean autistic, I don't mean like internet autistic the way we think of it. I mean like this kid was legitimately autistic, and he was a nice kid for all intents and purposes, but he was just a little obsessive with uh Kobe Bryant and the LA Lakers for whatever reason, to the point where like I would be in the midst of like like me and my friends would be in the midst of like a conversation just about like whatever, and this kid would like just like burst into the conversation like out of nowhere like the Kool-Aid man, and and just start talking about like Kobe Bryant and how awesome Kobe was, and how like the Lakers were awesome and every other NBA team sucked. Like he was trying to shit talk us, but he wasn't really good at it for whatever reason. So it just kind of became annoying. So we decided to prank him sophomore year, and and so we one of us had like one of those. There used to be an app on the App Store where you could generate like fake news headlines. You could like enter in the name of like a person, and it would generate like a headline like so and so died in like a tornado or something, right? So we decided to prank this kid, and for shits and giggles, we typed in Kobe Bryant. Now keep in mind this was back in like 2011. For reference, this was like the iPhone had just like started to kind of get good. Like smartphones were just kind of still in their infancy, but they weren't like they are now. Uh, so we typed Kobe's name into this like fake, news headline app generator, and the headline that came up, I shit you not, was Kobe Bryant dies in helicopter crash. And we showed this to the kid, and he flipped out. I mean, he was legitimately crying, and just in tears. He was just, you know, like this kid was legit in tears, and we eventually like told him like, hey buddy, we were just pranking you for all the times you were kind of pranking us. And like at first he was like, well, that's not funny, and then he came around, and everything was pretty good. So you can imagine that I was a little I was a little shocked, like back in 2020 when Kobe Bryant actually did die in a helicopter crash. My first reaction was, when I heard that Kobe Bryant died, wasn't that, oh my god, Kobe Bryant died. It was more like, holy shit, my prediction came true. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like like Lacey Marie says. Yeah, my reaction was whoops. So, like I said, you know, that was kind of like I can't believe that happened. So, I joke about Apex dying in a fiery car accident with his, gamma penis in his girlfriend's mouth. Getting a happy ending via Roadhead. But I hope to God that's not actually the case. I hope he's doing okay because, if he actually did die in a car accident and I predicted it, then that would just be sad. So anyway, shout out to Lacey Marie and E Scorpio, the Gammon Chief, for both being here tonight. And like I said, Happy New Year to the Savages. I'm hoping that 2022 is a better year than 2020 and 2021. The last few years, just kind of, for the world, have kind of been shite, more or less. And so, yeah. Well, I mean, we've already lost Apex, so that is a shitty kind of beginning to the year. Yes, R.I.P. to Apex, gone too soon. Yes, Steely, you're right. But the show must go on as Apex would want the show to go on. And let me just make sure that my notifications are. Yep. Should Apex decide to come back from the dead, he can he has a way to reach through my notifications being muted to get a hold of me from beyond the grave. But anyway, the show must go on, and even though Apex is gone, he would want us to carry on investigating all, things internet craziness. And what is more crazy right now than Jack Murphy? Now, I tagged E Scorpio and Starshine into on their Discord on the Gamma Secret Kings server because I know that the Gamma Secret Kings cover Vox Day and cover a lot of stuff, but I don't know how much. I haven't seen any GSK activity with the old Jack Murphy thing. Maybe I'm missing something, but I haven't seen much on the GSK. But for those of you who who say I'm not criticizing right-wing figures enough, well, I have some interesting thoughts on that. But yeah, Jack Murphy is getting into a lot of heat, and a lot of right-wingers are basically ignoring him. So, take that what you will. Now, on Thursday's show, on the final show of the year, before Apex Gamma tragically, that was the last show I saw him. And he and I had a grand show together. Probably one of the best shows we've had in a long time. We covered Jack Murphy, and we covered some of Jack Murphy's cuckoldry as much as we can within YouTube. There was there was obviously some stuff that we couldn't show because Susan Mama Susan uh doesn't like certain things, even if they are like, for commentary purposes. But so after that show, I started diving more and more into the Jack Murphy thing and just exactly what happened. And I have found, ladies and gentlemen, um, a lot of interesting videos on Jack Murphy. I kind of knew who he was, but really, other than the time that he actually like tried to reach out to me to come on his show, or no, to come on my show, excuse me, I don't really, been that invested in him. And real quick, for those of you who don't know, I don't think Scorpion knows this, but like 2 years ago, um, someone claiming to be Jack Murphy's publicist emailed me and basically like gave me this long like uh like not exactly a resume but like a promo type thing, basically like saying we're interested in having Mr. Murphy on your show, and here's his bio, here's why you should have him on, all of that stuff. And so I looked into Jack Murphy a little bit, and I guess he seemed just interesting enough, but at the time, but I wasn't really like captivated by him, so I was kind of like, well, I've got other guests, coming on, and so maybe down the line, and and I also like emailed back, and I'm like, well, when would he like to come on? And long story short, they never got back to me. Well, in the meantime, when I looked into Jack Murphy initially, he was one of these conservatives like Gavin McGinnis who was really into the whole no-fap thing, the anti-masturbation crowd, as it were, which, as I've said on the show before, has to be one of the weirdest fixations that like quote unquote conservatives have had in the most recent years. Um and I just think that the fact, I mean, the right wing seems a little obsessed about it, to be honest, or some of them do, just like Jack Murphy does, for instance. So yeah. Um so anyway, with all this like, and Jack Murphy was like one of these like no fap, no masturbation, you need to get married when you're 20, uh and start a family like by the age of 24, and get a wife, a Stepford wife, or what, or I guess they're calling him trad wife. Yeah, that's the term. Like Jack Murphy was one of these like pro alpha male, pro trad wife, pro trad wife type conservatives. So it's very kind of interesting that now everything regarding Jack Murphy's cuckoldry has surfaced. Right? That's what happened. He published like a series of like blogs talking how he enjoys being a cuckold, And I had no idea that like it went this far. But shout out to John Arcade. I don't know if he's in the chat. He might be dead as well, for all we know, just like Apex. And but I've been going over Johnny Arcade's channel on Jack Murphy, and there is some interesting stuff about Mr. Murphy that I want to play for the audience because I think it's very kind of informative of a lot of this hypocrisy that we see on the right regarding masturbation and fab and whatnot. Yeah, homo flexible, as he calls himself, as Steely points out in the chat. So yeah. Let's see. Let me transition. Okay. So let me set this up. Let me make sure I've got the right window here. So, let's see here. Let me go to Johnny Arcade's channel first. So, this is a video that Johnny Arcade clipped. This is from like an old podcast that Jack Murphy was on a couple years ago. And basically he was talking like how he and his wife weren't satisfied, and he got into cuckoldry as like a way in order to save his in order to save his marriage. So and don't worry, Scorpio, I'm not going to play videos of the actual cuckoldry itself. A, because I'm not into that. B, sadly, all you're going to see are basically like podcast clips and whatnot, where Jack talks about some of this stuff, but even so. So anyway, so this is a podcast that Jack was on a few years ago, where he talks about, how he likes to both be cuckolded and how he likes to abuse women.
I woke up one day and realized that I wasn't getting it.
Oh yeah, and I also want to point out that so he's on this show called Upfront and Straightforward with Alan Roger Curry. Now I want to point out that this show was on Blog Talk Radio, and to be completely fair, I had a show on Blog Talk Radio, the Whitfield Analysis, back when I was in high school. Blog Talk Radio is kind of a shit platform, because basically you would need to call in with your cell phone in order to both host and call in to show. And so the audio quality is basically like, is basically cell phone, like phone call quality. It's okay, but it's not great. It's like listening to a conference call line, because essentially that's what you're doing. And my show, if I may say so, was one of the more normal shows on Blog Talk Radio. There were all sorts of weird like extraterrestrial type shows and dating advice shows like this one. So I don't know when this podcast was a thing, but it was. And so this is one of the weirdest exchanges in podcasting / internet radio that I've heard. One of them, at least.
That's what I wanted. I had no control in my home. I wasn't the leader of my house. I wasn't in charge. And, none of the decisions that were getting made, none of the things that were going on were for me. And I wasn't happy. And we're talking about like a sexless marriage, right? Like no sex, like barely even birthdays and anniversaries. Wow. Yeah, terrible. And it was killing me, and it was killing me. And we even went to therapy to like talk about it. And the woman, and I was willing to do whatever I could, right? Because we had kids, but I also had in my mind that it was, maybe I'm doing something wrong. I got to go fix this. And so I go in, I'm talking to the therapist, and the therapist she's a woman, old woman. She can't understand how sex for a man can be more than just a need to ejaculate or a need to have orgasm. And, for me and for, I think, a lot of guys out there too, that, sex is as important as eating or sleeping or breathing or whatever. And it goes well beyond just the act of an orgasm or ejaculation. It's about intimacy and connection and feeling like you're a part of something with another human being. Being in a sexless marriage, my sexuality continued to evolve, and through reading, through books, through masturbation and fantasy and whatever, I began to understand that the foundation of my sexuality lied in a sort of dominant mind frame. And the fact that I was feeling miserable in every component of my marriage, from how we handled communication and decision making all the way into the bedroom and everything else, it was clear to me that like I was not operating in that mindset. And it took me some time to even understand what that really was. And then as it evolved, I began to really understand that I wasn't getting it at home, and that there was certainly some change that needs to happen. There was one event that I can really look back to where I understood that it was never going to work. This is the middle of a sexless marriage, and I do what I think I'm supposed to do, right? I get this beautiful suite downtown. I'm on the East Coast in a big major city. I get a beautiful suite downtown, and we go have dinner at a beautiful restaurant. We go upstairs. I'm talking like an apartment suite, right? Just gorgeous. The presidential suite, basically. All the things you're supposed to do, right? Champagne, chocolate, the whole thing. And it's time to have sex. And I just like try to gently guide her down to her knees to perform oral sex. And she couldn't do it. She just could not get on her knees to perform oral sex with me. And it was right then where I realized like she and I were just completely incompatible. And we had grown apart, or we were never together in the first place, and it just wasn't going to work. And it was basically from there on, it was like, how is this going to wrap up?
Yeah, it's funny because one thing I tell guys quite often on this show and when I do one-on-one dating coaching sessions, I always talk about number one, there's a difference between a woman liking you and even loving you and respecting you. Mm-hmm. And whenever guys ask me, like, Alan, can you give me like an example of a form of behavior that will let you know for a fact that a woman respects you? The first gesture I always point out, I say, if a woman gets on her knees and sucks your dick. Any woman you deal with as a man, I'm telling you fellas, if you've never heard me say it again, I'm going to say it based on what he was just talking about. Yeah, if a woman is not willing, not just not willing to suck your dick, but specifically, because like I've dealt with at least a couple women that would suck my dick, but they would never suck my dick on their knees, and I quickly dismissed them. Because that's a woman's way of telling you that she doesn't respect you. Totally as a man. She doesn't respect you. If a woman that refuses to get on her knees, that's your sign that woman, again, she could like you, she may love you, but you have not earned her full respect as a man. So yeah,
Indeed.
that's important to bring out.
Absolutely
So
right. And you bring up, you use a good word too, earn, right? Like, I don't think that, as I've become, much more experienced and well established in the dominant mind frame and live in a full-time dominant submissive relationship with my girlfriend,
Okay, so I'm wondering who this guy is too, because no offense, but well, who am I kidding? I don't know who the fuck this guy is, so screw him. This guy, this Alan Curry guy or whoever, he sounds like, and he's acting like a a a black porn star, basically. He sounds like this guy. Basically, seems like he could be getting his whole philosophy from blacked.com or one of those porn type of deals. If a woman won't get on your knees and suck your dick, she don't respect you no more. Or something like that. And yes, I know that version was slightly racist, but hey, this guy is a porn star, sex therapist or something. I think so. I don't know. Seems a little weird to me.
about this, and I write about all these techniques and things that you can do, but I always hammer home the point that none of this is, comes for free. You have to earn it, and the way that you earn that is by being the best man that you can be. And you got to have all of your game on point. You got to have your shit together. You got to have your lifestyle on point. And until then, maybe you don't deserve to be so demanding. And it's something that you have to earn over time. And, frankly, I can look back and I can see all the mistakes that I made. I mean, not only was she a mistake herself, but, the way I handled it, the way I structured my life, the way my attitude, none of the things that I was taught to do, to be supplicating, to be, overly open with my emotions, to be, putting her needs and her mission first. None of those things are going to breed the kind of respect that a woman needs to have for you in order to display it by getting down on her knees and sucking your dick. Everything I had been taught led my ex-wife to the point of not being able to do that. And that's the kind of thing that I'm trying to get out into the world, and that's the kind of message I want to get out to other men, is that you can train your women to treat you the way that you want to be treated, but you have to be on top of it before you can really deserve it. And so when I got divorced and I'm out on the scene again, I had to just relearn everything, man. I didn't know how text etiquette. I didn't know what text game was. I didn't know how to act with women. Women had changed. Feminism had changed. The new girls that had been coming up out of college, things had been different. My ex was my same age. She was just like maybe a year older than me. But when I got back out there, I was determined to be dating younger women. And younger women were just like a whole new breed. So I had to just keep reading and reading and reading. And, I'm not sure which avenue of transformation you want to talk about here, from sort of being a sort of blue pill beta in my relationship to being, red pill alpha, or we want to start talking about the hardcore BDSM side. But it all really...
Yep, so you heard that right here. You heard that, folks. For those of you who missed it, BDSM is a red pill alpha shit now, according to Jack Murphy. BDSM is a red pill, according to Jack Murphy. But yet, God forbid, some 20-something-year-old, gets an erection from looking at an attractive lady. That's a no-no. BDSM, yes, but no fap. Otherwise, you're a degenerate and you're going to hell. Yeah, it's this type of hypocrisy that makes me once again say that, I haven't really, like, I am beyond the right and left wing paradigm now. Like, I don't think anything I really believe has changed, but like I said, the right has gone into this whole, like, obsessive, moral fagging type thing, um, where it's like no fap and, you know, uh, whatnot, but then a lot of these guys are into degeneracy themselves. So, I don't know.
Started with the same notion of like, man, I just need to learn, and I just started reading and soaking in every piece of information I could find.
Now, you know my feelings are hurt because I wanted you to say, yeah, Alan, I even ran across your book, Mode 1, and it was like but
yeah,
no, I understand.
What's funny is I started telling some of my friends about this, and they're like, oh, yeah, man, Mode 1, like old school. And I was, our paths just didn't cross back then, but I'm glad that they have now. And I did dig into some of your older stuff and your archives and whatnot, and you're absolutely right that we used to have a lot of similar viewpoints, and it's interesting to me we use there's some different terminology, but there's a lot of overlapping stuff. We can get to this later, but one post of yours really stood out to me with the sort of hypnosis, brainwashing, persuasion techniques with women, and I thought that was really great. And
like you said that a lot of people have stereotypes about going to therapy, but you actually not only went to therapy, but you specifically, well, I'm assuming you initially wanted a heterosexual male therapist, but there's not too many heterosexual males in that field, so you ended up with a gay male therapist. And you were basically like, I'd rather be with a gay male therapist than be with a heterosexual female therapist. What prompted you to want to go to a therapist, and how did you let my listening audience know how you felt like you truly benefited from those therapy sessions?
Well, it ties in with the BDSM stuff. So coming to understand that I had a sexuality that was based in dominance and had interests and urges for some crazier things like hitting girls, choking them, or pulling their hair, or being real rough, or choking them unconscious, or all kinds of stuff. I was like,
I'm laughing at the comments here. What? Listen, Scorpio, I know that this stream is NSFW, but I mean, this is maybe this is what happens when you investigate Owen for a year. You become numb to all this stuff. The based in BDSM, it stands for based. Yeah, Steely, that's what this guy would like you to think. And yeah, so I guess this podcast, Scorpio, you're asking what is this podcast even about? Good good question. You mean what is my podcast about, or this guy's podcast? Because honestly, Johnny Arcade just clipped this, but this guy, as near as I can figure out, this guy, this Alan Dean Cure guy, or whatever, he wrote like some self-help book. He was like one of the early like pickup game coaches. Remember when? you might not know what that was. I don't know when you and Starshine uh, became a thing. Hopefully before all of this nonsense, and because this was on Block Talk Radio, I'm going to assume that this was like probably around like 2010 to like 2013. I could be wrong on that, but like that's generally the time span of when Block Talk Radio was a thing. But yeah, as near as I can figure out, this Alan Curie guy was like one of those early pickup artist uh guys. And a lot of those pickup artist guys, well Mike Cernovich is another one of them. They're always like, you need to dominate your women. And you know, that's what it comes down to. So I'm playing this I'm playing parts of this because, again, Jack Murphy for years now has like labeled himself as like some, you know, right wing moral family man, Christian, but yet, you know, he's into all this you know, BDSM stuff. He you know, he's chatting with this Alan Curie guy who may or may not be like a former black porn star. I don't know. That's just a guess, but he kind of has like, I don't know, he kind of gives me those vibes for whatever reason. And now he's talking like how he has a gay, you know, I went into like a gay sex therapist too. While uh while simultaneously you know, finding to like, you know, a perfectly straight dude too. Um well, Whiskey, I do dominate my women, but not in the way
Happy New Year.
but not in the way that this you know, not in a weird way that this guy is into. And oh, by the way, we have super chats. We have $3, no, we have $7 from Fat Cake Boy, who says Happy New Year. Thank you, Fat Cake Boy. Oh, and then I also forgot to mention the other night towards the end of the show, Semper Reloaded sent in a $3 super chat, which said, let me play this.
Sometimes I refer to you as Walt Whitfield. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that was when I was talking about Mersh calling me Walt Jr. or something. I mean, I've been called Walt Whitman before. I don't know why, but anyway, thanks for the $3 from last year, December, and Happy New Year to you if you're listening. Yeah, Steely's right. I don't just dominate my woman. I subjugate my woman. I roll up in the rape chair, and they just, you know, it's the rape chariot and the beard. It just turns them on. They can't resist me. That way. Anyway, though, I think you get the idea with this, you know, interview where the whole Jack Murphy thing is going. But believe me, dude, it gets weirder. It gets weirder, Scorpio. I don't know if you've seen this, yet today, but Johnny Arcade unearthed another video from Jack Murphy. And this one is even more disturbing. So Jack Murphy admits that he went to a gay sex therapist, right? And then later on in this podcast, which I'm not gonna play for you, he basically admits that he likes choking out women and whatnot. But it gets weirder. Recent video of Jack Murphy has basically been uncovered, in which, well, I will let this speak for itself. But this is just weird.
Young boys, I do like fucking college boys. Right, my tight little assholes.
Okay, now, this is really, this is really shitty, like, 2000s, like, potato, quality footage. It's bad, but basically, he said that he likes young college boys, too, and he likes their tight, assholes, basically. So this guy, this Jack Murphy guy, right? He's promoting the no-fap culture, but he's into choking women out and also apparently, anal sex with young college boys too. And yeah. So, as if that's not weird enough, and really this doesn't really surprise me anymore, but he is also friends with Mike Cernovich, Danger and Play, Gorilla Mindset, Chat, Alpha Male, Have a Family, all that stuff.
You're a family man now, Mike. When I met you was before Shauna. When you met me, I certainly was like on the tail end of my divorce. This is like 10, 12 years ago.
By the way, why does Mike Cernovich have like gray hair now? Mike Cernovich has gone all gray. Now, see, Mersh, there's a clip of me lisping, but it's on purpose. I don't have a lisp, but Cernovich definitely does. So yeah, Chad Alpha Male, Mike Cernovich, and Chad Alpha Male, Jack Murphy, they've been perpetuating this whole like Chad Alpha Male culture for a long time now. And really, there's nothing Chad or Alpha about it. It's just a way for them to make money and grift and make more money. So now I guess Tim Pool is getting into hot water in regards to all this, because he's had Jack Murphy on, and I guess Tim Pool I guess Tim Pool refuses to talk about a lot of this stuff. This isn't the video I was looking on. Now, I haven't seen any of the Tim Pool videos on it themselves, but this comes from Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, D-Day Cobra, who I know some of you think that he's a grifter as well, but he did a video on like the Tim Pool Jack Murphy connection that I thought was interesting. So I'm gonna take a look at this. So oh boy, Mr. Beanie could be getting in trouble here soon as well, Mr. Fence Rider.
What's going on, everybody? It's Jeremy coming to you with another video, and today we're going to talk more about the Jack Murphy situation because it continues.
Also, by the way, I'm playing a lot of clips tonight because that's where a lot of this Jack Murphy news is, but also you know, and I don't have a co-host, it's easy for me to do monologues and then play videos and, you know, do clip shows like I used to do a lot with the news and whatnot. So, and it gives me a chance to respond to chat somewhat too.
Get crazier and crazier and crazier. And just when you think it can't get any crazier, something else happens and it gets crazier. I watched Nick Rekieta's live stream last night, and it was pure internet gold. I know Medicare is live right now, so I'm going to be checking that stream out later. Jeremy from The Quartering has obviously done a fantastic job of covering all of this. So as you know, on Twitter, I post a lot of things to try and create content. So it's stuff that I already have some level of interest in, and then based on the interactions on those tweets, it builds upon that interest and helps me create content. So yesterday, during Tim Pool's live stream, I tweeted this out during the live stream because I was watching his live stream, and the entire chat was going crazy wanting him to talk about the Jack Murphy element, because Jack Murphy has been a consistent guest on his show for, I'm not sure how long because I don't really watch Tim Pool, but I've seen Jack Murphy on there for a long, long time. I think that it's every 2 weeks from what I understand, because I tweeted something out the other day and people told me like it's every other Wednesday that he shows up. So he hasn't been scheduled to be back based on the structure that has been on the show until, I guess, this coming Wednesday would be when Jack Murphy would make another appearance. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. But I tweeted this out. I'm watching Tim Pool talk about mainstream media covering up stories, all while actively ignoring his entire chat, screaming at him to talk about Jack Murphy. And that is happening while Tim Pool is covering stories about the mainstream media covering up other stories that are inconvenient to them or that will make them look bad. He's actively ignoring this massive story that is all over the place. And it's very weird. Now, look, I've given Tim Pool props in the few instances I've seen with him where he had the situation with the one guy that got up and said, you know, I'm not that guy. I thought Tim handled that like a true, you know, professional and handled it like a man would handle that situation. I gave him full respect for that. I thought the other day when he had the Amanda woman on where she, for the first 30 minutes, now I'm watching these shows because I'm interested in the Jack Murphy element, but when first 30 minutes, she was actually really good and really spot on. And then she just started to get a buzz and she started to get worse and worse throughout the show. I thought Tim handled it like an absolute professional because Tim is a professional. He's really good at what he does. I may not be a fan of him, but he's really good at what he does, and I can have no problem acknowledging that. But he also has a huge platform, and he carries himself in a certain way. And I think that he needs to address the Jack Murphy situation. Now, if he never addresses a Jack Murphy situation, it's neither here nor there necessarily for me because I'm not a consistent viewer of his show. But watching this over the last week has been very interesting to me to see how it all plays out, because seeing how his entire chat is so focused on this And it's not just a few people. This is like the heavy majority of his chat. They really want answers. They really want a statement. And to me, that really shows a out of touch nature in some ways. Now, I understand it's a difficult situation and it's probably complicated, but transparency with your audience is important. And it's one reason why the mainstream has lost such touch with reality, because they don't think about what the people want. They don't think about what the people want to hear. They're just here. Just trolls. This isn't my audience. This is not my normal audience. These are not my people. And it's just like, how do you even know that? Like this.
All right, so I'm not gonna play this whole entire video, but Jeremy does bring up a good point here in regards to Tim Pool, and in regards to a lot of, I guess, kind of the new right figures. I mean, Tim Pool says that he's not a conservative, and he's not, but he does kind of tend to orbit in a lot of those circles. Now, I admit, if you're connected to Jack Murphy, this whole thing is pretty awkward. So, like, part of me wants to give Tim Pool a benefit of the doubt, maybe, and say, well, maybe he doesn't know how to, address this. Maybe this is awkward for him. But, to deny that, his audience is asking questions about this is really weird. Now, look. When it comes to addressing controversial figures, or just things that you yourself have been, people that you've been involved with. Like, here's how I would handle the whole Jack Murphy thing. If I were Tim Pool, right, I would acknowledge, yeah, I know Jack Murphy. He's a guest on the show. But, and this is assuming that Tim Pool doesn't know any of the stuff that Jack Murphy was getting into, right? This is assuming that Tim Pool found out about all of this when the rest of the general public did, right? So let's work from that assumption. If I were Tim Pool, I would say, I didn't know about any of this stuff. This is Jack Murphy's issue, not mine. The guy obviously needs help. I wish him the best of luck. But I'm not involved really with him at that level. Or anything. And that's all Tim Pool would need to say. We just need to address it and get it over with. Him ignoring it is, for Tim, it's causing him more trouble than not at this point, I would say. And it is looking like he is protecting Jack Murphy, even if he isn't. That is, and I am speaking from a place of experience somewhat, because right before Charlottesville happened, probably about like a year or so before Charlottesville happened, basically in 2017, at the very beginning of 2017, I had James Allsep on the show after he had been hit in the head with a flagpole by Antifa, right? And so my whole thing was, I wanted to talk to James Allsup about that, because to me, that seemed interesting. You know, how he was attacked by Antifa, and you know what happened there, right? So I interviewed James Allsup, and we did a podcast together where we basically talked about like podcasting and YouTube, because he was a podcaster and a YouTuber as well, and I was a podcaster, and you know I am a podcaster, so we had that in common. At that point, as far as I know, when I interviewed James Allsup, he didn't know. I didn't know that he knew Richard Spencer. It wasn't common knowledge at that time that he knew Richard Spencer and was buddies with him. I think at that point, all I knew was that he interviewed Richard Spencer, and I think I said to him in that interview, like, huh, you interviewed Richard Spencer or something, right? Like, that's kind of interesting. But that's all I said. So then after the whole Charlottesville thing happened, I disavowed James Allsup. And I told people, you know, yes, I did interview him, but I don't condone what he stands for now. I didn't know that was his beliefs. No one in my circles did, and you know, I addressed it head on, and took care of it. And Tim Pool, in my opinion, should maybe do the same thing in regards to Jack Murphy. Just address it head on. So yeah, this whole Jack Murphy thing, it's pretty interesting, because now, right now we have a split even within the, I guess, quote unquote conservative, like, you know, the new kind of conservative culture war, right? Now there's a split where it's where it's between like the traditional right, the new right, and then those of us who just, a lot of us have conservative values, but we think that kind of both factions of the right are retarded now. So here's kind of my advice. Oh, and one thing I'll get to here later tonight. I'll end the show kind of with this story about Alex Jones, because I think it is worth talking about how he's split with Trump. But people have asked me like where I think the right should go from here. Where do I think conservatives should go from here? And really, here's my opinion on where conservatives should go. If we really want to, sorry. If we really want to, get back to a good space, where do I think conservatives need to go? Well, I think first and foremost, I think conservatives have a golden opportunity to basically return to being the the true party of liberty. Essentially be libertarians minus the cringiness of the libertarians. And what do I mean by that? Well, I think one of the biggest things in the country right now, people are sick of the mandates right now. And even in a lot of Democrat cities, right, even if you already have the vaccine, I think a lot of people are getting sick and tired of, all these mandates and all these endless boosters. And even if you're for the vaccine, I think it's the bureaucracy of the thing that is starting to annoy people. So I think that's one thing where we need, where we can make a lot of ground saying, hey, even if you're pro, vaccine, but you're anti-mandate, I agree with you. I think I think the mandates are stupid. Another thing that I really think that where we should really focus on, and a lot of this seems pretty basic, but honestly, the federal government at this point, and it always has been this way to a certain extent, but the federal government is bad at its job, right? And so I think encouraging people to get involved in more of like their state politics, and their local politics wherever they're at, and making changes there, and getting more involved in their, and in their state and individual communities, and issues that affect their day-to-day lives should be a focal point too. I don't necessarily I don't necessarily know if that'll fly, but Steely says groups are awful. Whiskey says you're in a group right now. Steely says, and I hate it. Well, Steely, you're part of Sam's Savages. And if you're going to be in a group, this is the best group to be a part of. Because while we're a group, we're all very individualistic, Steely. And that's kind of my point. Is, focus on the things that matter in your individual life. And what's funny is, I guess this is kind of a segue. It's been really interesting, because right now there's a whole big debate on whether Trump will be the nominee in 2024 or whether it'll be Ron DeSantis. Right? Those are the people who are being floated as like the big names for presidential candidates. Now, I've said this before, but I will say this again. I honestly don't want Ron DeSantis to run for president in 2024 because I still want him as governor of Florida in 2022. And we need DeSantis to help keep things strong here in Florida. He's not perfect, but as far as personal liberties in Florida go, he's pretty much the best there is right now. In the entire country. So I trust him for leading Florida. I want him to stay here. Trump, whether or not he'll run in 2024, listen, I thought that Trump's victory in 2016 was hilarious, because it made Hillary Clinton melt down and got her out of politics, and I'm so thankful for that. I think that was worth the price of admission itself. But and I don't think he did a bad job as president. But let's be honest, the man is 78 years old. He's Trump is Trump. He still has all of the Trumpisms and whatnot that drive half of the country crazy. And while I love meme magic, I don't. No amount of meme magic is going to get him in the White House in 2024. I just don't think that's going to happen again. I don't see it happening. Even if he did get into the White House, he would spend basically his entire presidency just undoing everything that Biden has done, right? I don't see what's going to happen. Steely says we need to get rid of all these old people. Guys, Steely wants people to get COVID-19. Steely literally does want your grandma to die, ladies and gentlemen. You were here first. Steely is pro-Rona. No, just kidding, Steely. Let's see. Yeah, and chat is saying stuff that I cannot say for the audio listeners, but it's funny. Anyway, I am not having drinks tonight, Steven, at least not yet, because I am flying solo. Because Apex Gamma died in a fiery car crash. Well, his girlfriend was giving him roadhead. That's the story. That's the story, and I'm sticking to it. Whiskey and I warned Apex that it was dangerous to drive and get a blowjob from his girlfriend. But did he listen to us? No. And so, as I said in the beginning of the show, I think what happened was he climaxed, he lost control, probably, his car is probably in a ditch somewhere, and, he died, but at least he died with a happy ending. So, rest in peace, Apex. We're gonna miss you. And now I guess I'm gonna have to find a new co-host or something. Maybe it'll be Whiskey. I don't know. I know Whiskey is busy doing whiskey shit most days, and being the crypto god that he is. But anyway, or who knows? Maybe Apex could resurrect himself next week. I don't know. Who knows with that kid? But anyway, speaking of Trump, though, the big Trump story that everyone has been talking about, Alex Jones has turned on Donald Trump now, apparently. And I have not seen this, but let's see. Where was this? And yes, I am on band.com. video. Someone sent me the link to this, but I'm not seeing it. Huh.
So kind, Dr. Malone.
Nope, no autoplay. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah. Not seeing it. Honestly, I thought there would be the video on here. Anyway, I guess Alex Jones has supposedly turned on Trump or said that he's a fraud or something. Let me Google this. Oh. Apparently people have been blowing up my Twitter while I've been on that, so he's encouraging. Let's see. Alex Jones. Okay. Okay. Apparently, yeah, everything I'm finding is like from CNN and whatnot. So I guess we won't cover the Alex Jones controversy with Trump tonight, unless, let me check the chat, maybe someone has it, but anyway, yeah, I can't find the stuff. But anyway, yeah, we've been going for an hour and 30 minutes just up, folks. So yeah, I will try and find the Alex Jones video. Maybe I'll do maybe I'll do like a separate video on it. Maybe I'll do a stream tomorrow. I don't know. But anyway, folks, it's been a great show so far. Great start of the year. And with that, I think that will just about cover everything that we have going on here tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank all of you for tuning in to the show. Thanks to Lacey, Steely, Fat Cake Boy for donating, Larry Rapshaw, Whiskey for all tuning in, E Scorpio and Starshine for popping in when they did, and it's been a great show. Like I said, rest in peace, Apex Gamma. He died doing what he loved, and I guess the ghost of Apex may be back. He might not be, in which case we will need a new co-host at some point. I don't know. But anyway, before I sign off, I do want to plug Whiskey's show. Tomorrow he'll be doing a show called By the Dip. That is a show that him and Mrs. Whiskey Sandwich do together. That is tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I might be on there as a guest at some point to, share some of my thoughts on crypto and whatnot. Whiskey, I think Whiskey missed my rant about virtual reality and the whole metaverse on Thursday. Maybe he did. I don't know. Maybe he was lurking. As he usually is, though. But at any rate, thanks for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, thumbs up, everything. And Happy New Year's, ladies and gentlemen. Happy New Year to both of those of you on YouTube and to the podcast listeners as well. Please give the podcast a 5-star rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. And I will see you on the next broadcast. Until then, good night. God bless. God save this great nation. God grant Alexi in that order. And I will see you on the next show.